It's a place where the limits of reality are your own imagination. People come to the Oasis for all the things they do.
All my troubles seem so far away.
I get up and nothing gets me down. You got it tough. I've seen the toughest around. And I know, baby, just how you feel. You got to roll with the punches and get to what's real. Can't you see me standing here? I got my back against the record machine. I ain't the worst that you've seen. Can't you see what I mean? Might as well jump, jump. Might as well jump. Go ahead and jump, jump. Go ahead and jump. Might as well jump, jump. Might as well jump. Go ahead and jump, jump. Go ahead and jump.
Remember Chewbacca again? Oh, I love to remember Chewbacca. Remember? Hey, remember feeling safe? Remember no ISIS? Remember Reagan? Oh, I remember. Oh, remember?
In my life, I love you more.
He walked out in the gray light and stood, and he saw for a brief moment the absolute truth of the world. The cold, relentless circling of the intestate earth. Darkness implacable. The blind dogs of the sun in their running. The crushing black vacuum of the universe. And somewhere 200 animals trembling like ground foxes in their cover. Borrowed time and borrowed world and borrowed eyes with which to sorrow it.
And lo, for the earth was empty of form, and void. And darkness was all over the face of the deep, and we said, look at that fucker dance.
Welcome to Heat Death of the Universe, a podcast that has always maintained that giving into the siren song of nostalgia is just like heroin, a sometimes food. It is 10:23 in the AM KST, Saturday, April 12th, year of our Lord / the Snake, 2025. You're hearing the speechifying of me, Joshua. How am I not myself? How am I not myself? Nomen mutatio. And from the sunny coastal reaches of the Napa Death Valley, I know all about California. It's Tim, the Pants Industrial Complex Buckner. What up, what up?
Not much. I just saw, I'm happy to be on the only podcast that agrees with the statement that I just recently saw, which is saying that in some other language, the word nostalgia translates to return to death.
I buy that.
Yeah, because nostalgia is the brain killer, folks. We've said it 1,000 times. We'll say it again a bunch on this here podcast episode, if you will. But yeah, I'm doing pretty good. It's warming up here in beautiful Southern California, so that's fun. But otherwise, pretty damn good. Just got done with 50-hour work week, so it's fucking party time, bitches.
Me and you are the same.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear that.
But it's different. Okay, 50 hours of Korean work is different than 50 hours of American work. As you've seen in the AI videos of the Americans working in sweatshops.
Oh, right.
It's just not the same. We're not built for it, you know?
That one video.
You've got you've got Chinese-ized blood now. You can stand it.
I'll tell every Korean person I know that this is the stance of the American pig dog is you Koreans is Chinese different now. You Chinese different.
Actually, it's kind of funny to even think about that because in the pantheon, in the canon of Americans, like the Koreans did actually kind of leapfrog the Chinese as like entertainment. Like Americans accept Koreans as like, that's where we get, pop stars and movies from. And China, It's still like, that's where we get cheap crap. That's where we get cheap crap. And even though that's not true, because like half of the cheap crap industry has moved into like Malaysia and fucking, you know what I mean? Like into even worse, shittier shitholes. But Americans are so dumb that they kind of don't even realize that. And you still hear like people on the TV talking about the tariffs and all the trade shit being like, it's hard to find anything that doesn't say made on China. And it's like, actually, it's kind of hard to find anything that does say made on China anymore. They don't really make everything there anymore.
Made on China, the phrase is just making me think of stand on business.
Yes.
Made on China, on the backs.
Right.
Well, I do want to get into a little of that before we leap into the focused bit, which let's just tease it out here. We're going to, and we'll explain why when we get there, do a little movie rundown, analysis, whatnot, chit-chat about the 2018 film Ready Player One. But before we get there and explain why the hell we're deciding to talk about that movie now, two-part little preamble, amuse bouche, if you will. First up, our favorite big, wet, dry, genocidal boys have met once again, talking Trump and Bibi. Bibi.
You got wait a minute, you got the Bibi Barbie? You guys got the anyways, continue on. That's a reference for like 4 or 5 people.
Oh, I think it's over my head. It's just making me think of bibimbap.
Yeah.
The delicious Korean dish.
Y'all got that Bibi Barbie?
Yes. The war criminal with the warrant out on his head, which will, I don't know, hopefully someday be acted upon. Probably not. Got a few asides in there about that. The Prime Minister of Belgium was just like, nah, we're probably not going to ever arrest that guy if he comes here. Don't worry about it.
Nah, it's cool. We're over it.
The fucking fascist shithead in Hungary actually just declined and then like removed themselves from like the Rome Accords or whatever it's called, the International Criminal Court thing, because I think Bibi traveled through Hungary. He definitely traveled over like a bunch of European airspace, which is also like grounds for detaining him, but of course, nothing happened. He landed safely with probably like a, what do you call them things? A shipping container full of his dirty laundry to be laundered in the White House.
Oh, sure, yeah.
As he's famous for
They call him a can. A can. He probably had a whole. That's what they call it on the docks.
Ooh, that's cool. Actually, it makes me want to be a dock worker. Just to say, bring a couple of them cans over here. I found out for the first time that the name of the Israeli presidential plane is Wing of Zion.
Oh, don't like that.
Bit on the nose.
Yeah. Dark Wing Zion. That's a fun comic book mashup, right? Can you imagine it?
Yeah, something you might have seen in Ready Player One. Am I right, folks?
Hey.
I was just thinking, I wish I had a rim shot, and then I remembered I've got the soundboard. But anyway,
You can really do anything you want.
Am I right, folks? It's a kind of a rim shot.
Gets the point across. Yeah.
Yeah, Wing of Zion, scat breakdown. I don't know, like they just like reaffirmed a lot of the same evil shit that they want to do. I mean, they said some absurd things that we'll highlight and then kind of maybe move on from this. But I mean, here's one thing Trump said to the press when they were doing their little press conference together. We're going to talk about trade, and we're going to talk about the obvious subject. You know what the obvious subject is, right? In the article, this was interpreted in Israel as likely referring either to the hostages held in Gaza or to Iran's nuclear program. I love how he's just like, suddenly Trump is the king of subtlety. You know the obvious thing, right? Talking genocide, just filling in the blanks with Trump there's something funny about that, especially when he's on the stage with Netanyahu. Yeah, they're just real casual, chill bros about it all as well, like even more so than the last one. Yeah, just flat out calling for ethnic cleansing. One of the most absurd things Netanyahu said was, I don't have the exact quote, whatever, but he's like doing that whole thing of like, we just want Gazans to have the freedom to choose where they want to go, because a lot of them probably want to leave, right? Am I right, folks? But then the most absurd thing was he said, you know, there are all these like theaters of war, like Ukraine and Syria, and people can actually leave those places if they want to. Gaza is the only place where people can't leave. Isn't that crazy?
It's against the law. It's illegal to leave Gaza. Can you imagine? Why is that?
He heightens it and says, we didn't lock them in there. It's fucking crazy.
That's like, so good.
That's all you did. And then Trump also said something like, he was just going into like real estate douche mode, whatever. He's just like, they had a great piece of property in Gaza. Real mistake, baby. I gotta say, you know, I love you, but you really fucked up by just walking out of that place. I don't know why you do that. Beautiful beachfront property, folks. So insane. I can't believe Trump is historically ignorant. It blew my mind. Yeah. He did the chair thing again. The thing a lot of people were going on about the last visit, where he like pulled or pushed in or pulled out whatever Bibi's chair at the table, and he looks so loath to do it while he's doing it. He just looks he has this like vacant look on his face when he's doing it, and like his body language is like just totally loose and slack, like he's just kind of like meh, like I gotta do this. But it does appear, as many have already said, like some sort of humiliation ritual of some sort. But I'll go against some of the other silly narratives about Israel in general, but specifically about Trump, where they're like, what kind of dirt must they have on him, man, that he's doing that? It's like, he got $230 million from the Adelsons in just straight bribes that we know of, like legal bribes. I think that's more of the culprit than like some fucking mega insane P-tape type shit, bro.
Right.
That, and, you know, there's a really false idea about like Israel is the prime mover in all of this, like because there's so much influence, like AIPAC and whatever. It's like the U.S. and Israel are entangled like entities, but like I don't think there's any question who's like really in the driver's seat. It's like there's just like historical precedent of like the rare occurrence that a president gets wild hair up their ass and wants to reign in Israel. They do it. You know, Reagan famously did it when they invaded Lebanon. He literally referred to what they were doing as a Holocaust. Obama did it. Obama. Shit, I'm fucking slow on the drops.
Actually, I think I put that one on there.
I know you did, but I got there's too many now. You can't arrange them on this site, which kind of annoys me. But yeah, there it is. Obama.
Pretty good.
And even Biden.
All men and women created by go. You know the thing.
Yeah, even Biden did it. In 2021.
You know the thing.
He did this famous like what was it, like bear hug diplomacy or some shit? I forget. It was like something about hugs, giving that Christian side hug to Bibi to make him calm down for a second.
Give me that Christian side hug. That Christian side hug. Give me that Christian side.
Anyway, it's not the Israel episode, but you know, this was some major news. And then the other thing we were going to bring up, and I think we were more like you showed me like, oh, something's going to come out in a minute or whatever about Tim Pool.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, what was that? Do you want to explain?
It was nothing. I mean,
it turned out to be like big fucking nothing, right? Yeah.
It was out there in general, and like it was a whole thing. Fucking Tim Pool. I mean, he's amazing. Obviously, he's very funny, and it is funny to watch him do stuff. Because he was basically like talking about like, well, you know, I thought that like that, you know, I forget even what the fucking thing is. It's like some journalist bullshit about the White House. Like this was going to be under like, what is it? Go ahead.
It's like the Chatham rules.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chatham House rules. He was like, I thought it was going to be Chatham House rules. But you know, then other people just started saying stuff and coming out, and you know, and basically like he was like implying that like it's because all the other people that were there are fake journalists, not like him. Like he's doing his Tim Pool fucking thing, which is so great, where it's like, you're the fucking dumbass with the beanie who does the wishy-washy wiffle, like waffler peddler. Like his whole fucking thing is just doing as much weasel words as possible constantly and never committing to anything. Basically just doing like verbal sensational headlines and then backtracking instantly over and over again.
So fucking much. I can't
He's
stand
the fucking worst. It's amazing. But he's like, yeah, you know, I thought we were gonna, but half of the people in there didn't even know what that means. And it's like, yeah, this thing that you just Googled, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
And that's another one of his, like he did that in the fucking recent Sam Cedar thing where he's like, I can't believe he still hasn't Googled this thing that I made up. You know, talk to him about it. I can't believe, and it's like, yeah, he could or couldn't know about it. It doesn't matter. Like looking up this stupid thing that you're putting on him on Wikipedia isn't his job. But like he's so fucking stupid that like he presented it like, oh, I'm sad for Sam because he's so dumb that he's had 10 years to look this thing up and he hasn't. And it's like, no, that's like sad for you. Right. It's like how much he doesn't care about what you have to say that he didn't even look into your dumb baby brain thing. But yeah, he's doing that to them too. Like, oh, I can't believe it seems like they didn't even know what that meant, and then they just started posting about stuff. But so then he was like, kind of then while he's also saying like, basically the rule has already been broken. Like I'm gonna follow it still. So I'm not gonna give any juicy details.
Just to clarify, like this Chatham House rules thing is basically like, it's just like it's like a gentleman's agreement amongst like journalists or some shit. It's not like he's acting like it's this like legal thing that's binding contract. It's just
that's how all the journalist bullshit works, though.
It literally just you exactly like you said. He just like Wikipedia'd something, but it's just speaking off the record. Basically, it's not even that, because it's like halfway there, because it's like you can relay the information you heard, but you can't attribute it to anyone, which is kind of like, well, anyway.
That's what's called on background, right?
I guess that sounds right. Yeah.
All this shit in journalism is just made up stuff that they use and say, and like it's fucking weird. I mean,
some of it is legitimate of like protecting sources and whatever, but like Tim Pool's no fucking journalist. He's a beanie in the shape of a humanoid thing, and there's like nothing there. The only time I've been seeing like clips of him really at all is our favorite YouTuber RM Brown covering him a lot.
Yeah,
and but he's just such an empty fucking vessel beanie piece of shit. And he is literally a Putin puppet. I mean, kind of, not really directly tied to Putin, I don't think, but whatever. He was in that whole thing about the media, like some Russian company paying off like whatever right-wing influencers like millions of dollars to whatever do talking points or something.
Right. But yeah, no, it's
but the whole story, just the whole story, like it sounded more like it could be like funny and interesting. It turned out to be just nothing. Like the only quote I think I saw about, like, there was some like article in some Israeli newspaper about it, and it was like Tim Pool said perhaps there's a Qatari like plot or something. I don't know. It was just,
Nah.
but it was like the headline, the clickbait of it all was Bibi Netanyahu does a podcasters summit, and it's like it was a big fucking nothing. Whatever.
It was all it was being like, what? Okay, this new media bullshit worked for Trump. You know, questionable, right? It's questionable that that's what happened, but people have decided that that's why Trump won. You know, some people. So then being like, oh, well, why can't y'all little dipshits, you know, do this for Israel? Why are we getting our ass kicked with the youngs? Like, and even the youngs that like Trump, which like you fucking dorks, like, why can't you guys get in line? And that's what the meeting really was, right?
Yeah.
The meeting was really like, and like, you know, they did this with TikTok. They did this with everything. It's like, why, what the fuck is going on? We've had decades of being able to fucking spoon feed these hogs pro-Israeli propaganda.
And
who's dropping the goddamn ball? Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, you know, somehow you guys are the ones that made Trump be president again, because they've decided that, you know, like people whose career depends on it have decided that that's what happened. That like Joe Rogan and the Nelk boys are the reason why Trump is president. When it's like, I'm sorry, but if you want to see the reason why Trump is president, the social media thing to follow is not the pro-Trump podcasts. It's the Good Liars, right? Like, watch with the Good Liars. Watch the people that they interact with at Trump rallies where they ask them a question that's like, are you pro-choice? And they're like, no. And then they're like, but do you think that people should be able to get abortions if they want? Yes. Like, that's why Trump became president. It's not because of the Nelk boys, right? Like, but that's the thing that they miss, you know, because, again, you're not going to make money off of, well, the reason why Trump became president again is because people are fucking stupid and they just like Trump. But you can make money off of being like, the reason why Trump became president is because everyone is super based now and they like podcasts that try to sell you like knockoff TRT that's coming from like horse meat, or, you know, like that's what that like that you can make money off of that. So that's why they're selling that narrative. Because you can't really make money off of like, oh, the reason why Trump became president is because people are really fucking stupid, and the last thing that they remember liking on TV was like when Adam Carolla called I was gonna say Queen Latifah a lesbian on The Apprentice. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's like the last thing that pinged in their brain. Like, oh, that was funny. Like, I wanna vote for that guy. Can I vote for the guy who had Adam Carolla calling people lesbians on his show? And they're like, yeah, you can. And he's going to make sure that your kids don't shit in kitty litter boxes. And it's like, oh, perfect. Like, okay, definitely. That's the guy I want. So that's what it really came down to. But the Tim Pool of it all, a phrase that I hate when people say of it all, the X of it all is a phrase that I absolutely despise here.
I found myself doing it lately, and I'm trying to stop doing it.
Yeah. The Tim Pool of it all is that, like, Tim is, he just, like, it makes him feel good about himself to talk down to people because he has this giant inferiority complex. So he's like, all of these other fucking goofuses in there, they don't even know how real journalism works. Me, Beanie Man, who took a camera to Occupy Wall Street 15 years ago and has been fucking basically sucking off fumes for that my entire career. I know about real journalism, which is, again, like you said, made up rules that fancy lads have disseminated, and they have turned it into, and this has been a pretty long rant. I know you said you were missing Matt Christman. I'm getting into it. I'm revving up. A bunch of fancy lads who write about fucking gossip for a living, but try to dress it up like it's important, which is just basically what the news is. Like that's what they like trick you. Like, oh yeah, I'm writing about gossip, but but I have these rules and it's in a paper, so it's news. They tell you they have done such a good job into tricking you into believing that like their little fucking agreements between buddies is important, that they've like come up with a term that everyone buys into that's media literacy. And that's where you like figure out that like that's what that really means. People say like, oh, people don't have media literacy anymore. And what that means is like people don't know how to like read an article and be like, oh, that's information that's off the record. That's information that's on background. That's information that they got, like understanding what those stupid terms that they made up means and the agreements that they have and how you source, like how you write that down in the paper denotes what kind of source it is or what kind of source it came from, right? You know what I mean? So it's like, it's very funny. They've like tricked the normal person who like, why do I care? Why do I care that your friend said like, oh, this is off the record. Oh, this is on background. Oh, you can, this is like official, whatever. Like it doesn't fucking matter to me. Like you could just tell me the story and it's fine. But yeah, that's what media literacy is. And Tim thinks like, I understand that stuff because I saw a Wikipedia article and these other people don't. And it's just completely rearranging like deck chairs on the Titanic fancy lad bullshit that means nothing. But it makes him feel good about himself to be like, I get it, but Ashley Sinclair doesn't. She's dumb.
Yeah, it's pathetic, and I hate it.
Yeah.
Let us never speak of Tim Pool again on this podcast. We stooped down to his level this one time, and that's it.
He's very funny to just watch and see, but like you get the best from him just by watching R.M. Brown, basically.
I was just going to throw in one last thing on this bit, which is more just a go check it out, or the old show notes. There's a link to it. AIPAC leader boasts of special access to top Trump NatSec officials in leaked audio is a new recent piece at the Gray Zone. That's very like unsurprising stuff, but it's interesting and it's not like super like long. It's not going to take a lot of your time, but there's like a video of this AIPAC meeting, and it's kind of interesting to see how these people talk when they think they're under Chatham House rules or whatever off the record. And yeah, they're just basically talking about like gaining influence over these top officials or whatever. But that was just going to be my side point about the idea of there must be compromat on Trump to make him do the chair thing again with Bibi. But it's like, no, maybe it's also like this shit, this very obvious stuff about like peddling influence and whatever and just bribing people. Shocking news. Trump has announced while standing on stage next to despicable Hegseth that we're going to get the first $1 trillion DOD budget, a fact which Kyle Kulinski, who I've tried to restrain myself from talking so much shit about. It's just, I don't know, kind of because he's not like a bad person like a Tim Pool, but I find some of his shit annoying and I can't stop watching his videos for some reason. It's like become this morning ritual of mine because he releases like 10 videos a day, like at the same time that I happen to wake up in the mornings. But anyway, he was like, I called it, y'all. I called it, bro. I saw this coming. I was like, dude, everybody knew this was going to happen. The fucking budget's gone up like hugely every fucking year for fucking as long as anyone can remember. You like, I'm the only one who said it. Shut up, man. Anyway, but so that's news. Unsurprising news. But then Hegseth, this will lead us into the next bit. He went down to Panama just to do some kind of like, seemed like the timing was maybe to distract from all the Trump tariff insanity, even though it just kind of like highlights it more because he was down there like basically saying like we got to get rid of Chinese influence down here in Panama way. Mm-hmm. But it's like framed in this way of like we're gonna like cooperate with the sovereign Panamanian people. It's like, no, they're just still just a vassal state of America. Like, shut up, man. That's all I want to say to Pete Hegseth. But China. I mean, this like classic. This already feels so old, but I've got written here in the notes: "Don't be a panikin." What was that? 10 years ago, Trump said that. But then there's another insane official White House tweet, not a Trump truth, that in all caps, this was the only thing it said was, "Do not retaliate and you will be rewarded." It was one of the most unhinged things I've seen. This was obviously in reference to the meltdown of the markets and whatnot, which we already talked about last week, but it's ongoing and has only kind of ramped up. And Trump, of course, like caved it on a lot, like all of it except for with China. And now it's just been this kind of back and forth, just absurd raising of tariffs to, I think it's now at 145% on the US side on China, which, like, once you pass 100%, there's like, it's just, it's kind of meaningless. It's symbolic. There's basically a trade embargo, you know, I guess effectively, right? Like no one's paying that, but, yeah, pretty crazy shit. I don't know. I was like, this stuff is fairly complicated, even though I've seen a lot of people break it down pretty well. I guess I mostly just want to like shout out a few places that people should check out if they haven't seen them already, if they want to understand what's going on with all this stuff. So I'll shout out, there's this guy on Twitter name that I've mentioned in the past, Arnaud Bertrand, this French guy who I believe lives in China, who always has, I think, very excellent takes that he posts in like kind of long essay form on Twitter.
Right.
All this stuff will be in the show notes. Thought he broke it down really well. The key to understanding all this seems to be to look at what this let's find it. Let's talk facts and figures slightly here. Steve Moran, chair of the Council of Economic Advisors. He's one of Trump's top
President
economic advisors. Trunch himself's one of his main money men theorists. I also saw, so then I'll also shout out, because I first heard about this through Ben Norton doing like a long form, like hour-long video where he basically analyzed this guy giving a speech at the Hudson Institute. It's like this 5-point plan, and it's so insane. And I guess like to try to summarize what it is, Steve Moran, like absurdly, he claims that the dollar's global reserve status is a quote burden and demands other nations pay the U.S. for it. It's like you should be so lucky to let us dominate the world financially. So you got to help us maintain this dominance by giving us more money. Is basically what it like breaks down to.
This is right. This is the master slave, dynamic paradox, whatever. Right. It's like, yeah, like sure we dominate you, but we're literally nothing without the slave. In a lot of ways, the slave is actually running the show. And the master, while they live in the big house and have all the money, it is, the slave dictates the existence of the master. With no slave, the master has no, presence, has no personhood. But the slave without the master still can exist on their own. So in a lot of ways, they owe it to us,
Yeah. Slaves of the world, unite. Or don't do that.
No, unite to give us a raise.
Right.
Come on. Maybe you guys could do like a group Christmas present. That's fine.
He also insanely blamed China for the 2008 financial crash, which is just as insane of a lie as Netanyahu saying, we didn't lock the Gazans in there. Just totally insane. And it's basically like, yeah, because you guys fucked up everything, right? Look over here. He called it, I think his own words were, he proposed a double tribute system where countries subsidize the U.S. and pay for extra for the quote cost. It's just totally insane. And then there's this whole discourse just endlessly. I mean, it's not really new, but it's just been everywhere lately, especially because of, there's just this trade war happening before our eyes between China and the U.S., where people are, all these fucking, the most despicable fucking people, like that guy from Shark Tank, that fucking Canadian piece of shit, whatever his name is. a bunch of people. I remember seeing something with him where that guy was like, I think we should have a 400% tariff on China. Those guys don't play by the rules. And what they mean by this, like,
Sharkington?
this talking point of don't play by the rules is like, they do communist socialist shit. That's not fair because look, it's working really well for them. It's making us feel bad. That's not fair. They're not playing by the rules. It's so funny. And
Yeah.
well, I was like listening to a bunch of shit this week about it, and like at one point I was actually listening to Mr. Hassan Piker break it down, and he was actually relying a lot on the Arnaud Bertrand tweet, as well as some stuff by based economist Greek man Yanis Varoufakis, who also had a lot of good stuff to say about this, which is also in the show notes. Check it out, folks. A lot of good stuff here. Well, I was listening to him break it all down, nice style. I had like this weird. It's probably very irrational, but I just had like this like brief moment of levity where I was like, maybe, maybe I'll get to see capitalism take a big L in my lifetime. We'll see.
Well, I mean, take a big L, of course. That's like what capitalism is. Capitalism is just taking L's. That's like the whole.
You know what I mean? Like, see, like a real turn towards something better,
yeah.
maybe, possibly. Like, just like
Sure.
more of the world starts to look more like Chinese,
Right.
with socialist characteristics.
Yeah, and we all know that generally speaking, you know.
True.
everyone knows.
And
Daddies are more stronger than mommies.
of course,
That is also true.
I guess one last shout out on this. You know what? Just check the notes. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
one thing I'll say about it, this guy Yasha Levine, who I also brought up last week, he had like two articles about all this stuff, but his angle was more comparing the U.S. to 1990s Russia, and I'll just say that he's got a good side by side photo here of Trump working the McDonald's fry later and Yeltsin working the McDonald's fry later back in the 90s. The shitocracy doctrine, Trump, Yeltsin, and degrowth. Yeah, so check that out as well.
Thinking about Trump and Yeltsin will definitely give you degrowth, if you know what I'm talking about. That thing will be sucking up inside of you. Anyways.
Very true.
There it is. You see, I've made plenty of jokes, but none of them have been about being gay, folks. I can do it. Anyways, continuing on.
I mean, one might interpret that it's homophobic to be turned off by Yeltsin and Trump. That's very homophobic.
I mean, I get no, because they're
Just
they
kidding.
are not even for like the homosexual males. They're still not considered conventionally attractive.
Yeah, I got it. I was reaching out on a limb there.
Sure.
To help us ease into the next part of the program,
The most important part of the podcast.
I also kind of got to thinking about, but part of the Ben Norton video I watched, he brought up this thing I hadn't really heard of, which is called the Plaza Accords in 1985. And he's basically saying like Trump is kind of acting like it's 1985 when China had like 3% of global GDP, but now they have something like 18%. It's like Trump just doesn't obviously Trump doesn't understand any of this shit. But the Plaza Accords were basically like when the US was just much more powerful than it is now and could like demand that all these countries like fuck around with currency to be advantageous to the US, which is basically what this thing was. And it was a meeting in New York City in 1985, which just made me think of like, the sort of the golden opulence era of Donald Trump, the mid 80s, New York City. Like the idea of him maybe just in like some sort of his own terminal nostalgia where he actually may believe it is 1985. Well, that also got me thinking about dementia as an extreme form of nostalgia. I don't know, something there.
Well, here's the thing. The only Plaza Accords from 1985 I care about is in 1985 when the freshly 1-year-old Aubrey Plaza made some kind of accord with the devil to continue to get hotter and hotter well into her 40s, because she was looking good as hell in that weird ass movie that we watched.
Oh, what was that? Oh,
Megalopolis.
right. WoW Platinum herself.
Yes. So those are the only Plaza Accords I care about, folks.
I hear you. It's a much more fun version. And they didn't do anything to destroy the Japanese yen during that one, as far as I know. But yeah, speaking of quote unquote alpha brained type business mindset narcissists trying to turn the world into their fucked up, distorted self image, staring endlessly into a series of mirrors. Ready Player One. Let's talk about that movie. But why are we talking about that movie? Do you want to explain, Tim? Because this was your brainchild.
It's good as hell.
That's why.
Because it's a great movie. I was like, this movie is so good. No, the reason why it came up, it was interesting to talk about, was like, oh, this is kind of like interesting because I had never seen the movie, you know? I really have no concept of it. Like, I think there's something else that's like called like Armada or something. I don't know if it's the same writer. It's like in the same universe or something. I don't know that either, really. Like, it's just this whole like nebulous concept of like, I know that there's like some weird movies that are about like references to nerd shit from the 80s, right? Basically, the movie came up watching, was it Vivian Wilson doing a stream with Hassan Piker, the aforementioned Hassan Piker, where she kind of talked about, you know, throughout it they're talking about obviously her father, who is boom, 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 hit it, you know,
Oh, shit,
Vivian's
that was
dad.
Eloo Ma.
Yes. And like, you know, oh, you know, she said stuff that like made the rounds a bit. Oh, he was never a leftist. He was never on the left. Oh, saving the environment, that was just a marketing, you know, gimmick. Oh, going to Mars or whatever, that's all just a gimmick, you know. And these things kind of like made the round, but the one that stood out to me, as I mentioned, like I hadn't seen the movie, is she said, and this is not the movie, you know, because I don't know how old she is, but you know, it's possible. I guess it could be related to the movie.
She's pretty young. She's 20.
Yeah. So I guess I don't know what would that be. You're born in like 2000, I guess. Oh shit! I guess the movie did exist for her entire life. So that makes it even kind of sadder to think about, because it's possible that Musk was just influenced by the movie to do this. It's funny to think that he was influenced by the movie to punish them by making them read the book is very funny, because that is what she said. But
right.
This conversation started with people mentioning, oh, he's the real life Tony Stark. And she said, no, he's not the real life Tony Stark. He's the real life, like the CEO from Ready Player One. And then, so, oh, that's fucking weird. Like I said, I've never seen it. I don't know anything about it. What's the CEO character's name is,
Halliday, I believe.
Richard Halliday, yeah. And, oh, okay. That's odd. I should check out this thing and figure out, like, what's the touchstone of this guy, right? Oh, and then I was like, hey, fuck it. It's in the news, sort of, with this stream seeming like it was, like, a hot thing to talk about for a minute. And Elon Musk is always a hot thing to talk about, especially after last episode we said we don't want to talk about him, and we kind of didn't. We've, like, cut back on talking about him. I was like, let's do this digging in the crates, breaking down the mind of the madness of Elon Musk, and check this out to see what is the deal with this CEO that he actually models himself out of after, directly from, you know, this saying this from a person who would know. And as you said, like, it's very funny that she said when we would get in trouble, he would make us read the book, because
Yeah.
like I instantly am like that. This is just like dumb fucking Elon brain, not understanding like anything. Because if this is a thing that you like and you think is like good, why are you using it as punishment? Doesn't that send the opposite message? It's like, this is bad. This is a thing that you're bad and you're in trouble, so I'm going to make you do a bad thing. It's like they say, like, you tax things that you want to disincentivize, right? It's like, be like, oh, you're in trouble, so read this book. You have to read, and then so basically just make you be like, this book sucks. I hate reading this book because I have to read it when I'm in trouble. Because he's an idiot. He's just a complete fucking
It's almost
moron.
like he's stupid.
It's almost like he's, functionally retarded. That his idea to like, we're going to fix, you're in trouble, so read this book that I think is good. And you should you should be doing what it says in this book. Like, how are you this fucking stupid, man?
I think there's a slight distinction that might be important, like later when we like, I don't know, like talk about the content of the movie a little more. But also I should say, now that I was going to say it's not the Halliday character. He's the one who like creates the game. Cause I would assume that the guy that Musk and all right, first of all, she said that he wants to be that guy rather than he is
Right.
like that guy, which I think isn't because once we like after I watched the movie, I was like, I don't know how much there really is like exact parallels. I mean, there's like really obvious stuff, just like fucking evil CEO type, whatever. But anyway, we'll get more into that later. But there's two shitty CEOs basically, but one is actually portrayed as like the kind of like a cool autistic but like hero whatever of the movie, which is the guy who creates the Oasis, the virtual reality system that everyone lives their whole fucking lives in basically. That's James Halliday. But then like the villain of the movie is Nolan Sorrento, who's like the corporate baddie against like the cool ragtag whatever adorkable nerd business types.
Right. And it seems like I feel like you're possibly implying this, and this had crossed my mind, right? And I think maybe you even said this, is the idea that she was saying he wants to be Nolan Sorrento, the leader of IOI, CEO, bad guy, which I can understand, like, thinking that because she said CEO.
Yeah.
But as we break it down and talk about it, I don't think there's any chance that that's what it is. Like, it has to be that he wants to be James Halliday.
Because he does want to be liked by everyone, obviously. That's his...
Right.
Only, like,
and he
guiding
doesn't want to be
principle.
like, I want to be the bad guy of the movie. This was actually something, I don't know if did I mention this last time, but this is something I heard relatively recently, and I take it with a fucking grain of salt, a very minuscule grain of salt, because who knows, it could be completely apocryphal, but someone who was like implying that in previous generations, people were more open to not being like so self-centered in a way that like made them able to appreciate works of fiction and not like, it's kind of the whole like you're canceled if a character in your story is like, bad, because that means you're saying that they're good. Like, you know what I mean? Like being like, actually The Godfather is canceled because it's saying that being in the mafia is good because that's the main character of the story. And then previous generations, people were better at like just looking at a work of fiction and just appreciating it for what it was, because people didn't naturally, intrinsically relate to the main character because they see themselves as the main character of reality. So then when they watch or, engage with a piece of fiction, they have to automatically transpose themselves onto the main character of the piece of fiction. And kind of like an argument for like people were, it's kind of like, it feels a little Yarvin-esque, a little Yarvian to be like, people used to be okay with being paupers and the king was the main character and you were just one of his slaves. But there is something to like a collectivist and people just being like, okay with like, this is my station in life and I'm not the main character of everything. So that's why I'm okay with like watching something and like the main character has maybe flaws and things that I don't agree with, but that doesn't mean that you're saying that's good. I'm just watching something that's fake. but like Musk is 100% of the era of the kind of person who has to relate with like the positive character. So there's no way that he would have been like, I want to be the bad guy, you know?
Yeah, I think you're probably right. And also just, yeah, like I said, based on his whole personality or whatever. Yeah, he probably, but there is that other very annoying element of his personality where he's like, the Zeke Heiligen and shit, like that's kind of leaning into like being the heel or whatever, I guess. But also like the part that he likes is that there are all these like white supremacists, whatever chuds that like that. So that's the part he likes. But anyway,
right? Yeah, and it also plays into the book thing, but it does because I already had like a book comparison difference thing to reference that had to do with that. That now is thrown into question with this new theorem in my mind, which is the idea that like he didn't actually read the book and he just made the kids read the book and he just watched the movie. So I don't even know how much he knows about the difference between the characters in the book and the movie. But in the book, from what I heard, because I didn't read it, in the book, the Holiday character is more of an asshole to his employees and underlings. Like they directly show it in the book.
Okay.
That he'll be like a piece of shit dictator to his underlings. And basically like if they don't get his pop culture references, he would like, he fired people and yelled at them and punished them for not knowing about stuff from the 80s, which feels very much like Muskian. But again, like, I don't know that he ever actually read the book. So who can say?
Yeah, I mean, the guy pays people to play video games for him. Like, it's hard to picture him reading a whole book. Maybe listen to the audiobook. Who knows?
That's possible. Yeah.
I just wanted to point out one of the. Also, I liked Vivian Wilson. She seems pretty cool. She's like, it's kind of a miracle that she seems so normal and together, especially for being like 20, but like I think really the answer is probably just that Musk is like not involved in his children's lives. So like if anything, she probably just will have a kind of a more standard like complex about absentee dads rather than like being a fucking psycho like Elon Musk.
Right. She was from the unfortunate early Musk children period of like he was still somewhat involved. So that's why she has some memories and issues with him. But yeah, like the later kids are going to be perfectly fine because they're like, he's just like fully gone,
I think Lil X is going to be a fucking serial killer or something. I don't know.
But he doesn't count because he's like the one of the recent ones that he keeps around.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah. But a lot of his other more recent ones are gone. He has like the early period where he was like still trying to be involved with the kids. Then he's got like evolved from that to just has nothing to do with them. Just basically pays women to get IVF with his sperm and disappears. Yeah. But then now he's got X that he was like using as a human shield basically. Right. And that one's going to be all fucked up, obviously. But speaking of Little X, this was one thing I did want to say, and I'm not going to, dead name her, but it was very interesting seeing a lot of other people who felt the need to dead name Vivian all over on social media. When I did see, take a wild guess on what the first letter of Vivian's dead name is. Just rack your brain and think, with Elon Musk and his history, what do you think?
I mean, I looked it up, and I was right out the money, letter wise.
Yes, Vivian's dead name starts with an X, folks. The Elon Musk obsession with the letter X is the weirdest. It is honestly the weirdest part of him, especially.
I don't know. Maybe.
No, to me, I think it really is. And because it's a fucking letter. It's a stupid letter, man. Let it go. Let it fucking go. Especially now that it's public and everyone knows that it's this weird, stupid, failed thing. You would think at this point it's like an albatross around your neck. You would drop it. But he can't. And he's still obsessed with the letter X. It's fucking crazy.
You think it has anything to do with like a swastika, or is that too goofy?
No.
Because doesn't the Tesla symbol kind of look like a fucking swastika? I gotta look it up.
No, it's a big T. It's definitely, it looks Nazi-ish, though. I'll give you that.
It doesn't. I thought one of his corporate logos was like. Oh no, the Tesla does look like a T. I'm thinking of a different one. One of his other fucking. Whatever. I'm not gonna take the time to look it up.
You know, honestly, you're probably not super far off base with that though, because it is like
maybe SpaceX. I'm thinking of.
He is like a historical. It turns out he is like a fourth generation historical Nazi type.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, a lot of these people who are now getting into it. It's kind of this Musk guy. He's actually kind of based, and they have no fucking clue that he's been on the fucking Nazi thing since before a lot of them were born. He's been into it the whole time. The whole fucking time he was into the Nazi thing.
One bit I enjoyed, and it made me go like, come on, man. He's really that bad, like in real life? I mean, of course he is, but Vivian said, I have the quote here. One of the last interactions we ever had was arguing about wearing a mask. He sent me this gif of a sheep and said, "Stop being sheeple." It was cringe.
I mean, she's not wrong.
Imagine just doing that to anyone, but then like your kid and over like your child, your like teenage child is chastising you to do the most basic fucking common sense thing and put a fucking mask on during a pandemic. Right. You're like, don't be sheeple.
Don't be sheeple.
It's painful. Painful.
It is brutal. It is brutal. So anyways, we are doing Ready Player One, a movie that came out almost 10 years ago, a book. The book really only came out like a year before the movie because from some of the stuff that I, looked into, like he was writing the script at the same time he was writing the book. The movie was already, the book was already optioned to be made into a movie before the book was released.
Yeah.
This whole thing was like a, school to prison pipeline, but, for fucking 80s nostalgia bullshit. It's fucking crazy to think about. Yeah.
Yeah, Ernest Cline, let's just get this out of the way, is pathetic fucking, like, ain't it cool news, like, literally was friends with Harry Knowles, probably still is. He's just he's like the nerd industrial complex bullshit fucking... I hate him. I hate him so much. I hate this movie. I hate everything about it, basically. I think it might be fitting to throw this part in now to just give you an idea of what little Ernie Cline is like. I've got this amazingly bad poem that he wrote. I don't have an exact date on it, but I think it was before he probably wrote the book, I'm guessing. And it's basically like slam poetry. I might add some like music or something to this, but I thought we should do a little poetry reading here. Let's just fucking do it. This is entitled Nerd Porn Auteur. I've noticed that there don't seem to be any porno movies that are made for guys like me. All the porn I've come across was targeted at beer-swilling, sports bar-dwelling alpha males. Men who like their women stupid and submissive. Men who can only get it up for monosyllabic, cock-hungry nymphos with gargantuan breasts and a 3-word vocabulary. Adult films are populated with these collagen-injected, liposuctioned women, many of whom have resorted to surgery and self-mutilation in an attempt to look the way they've been told to look. These aren't real women. They're objects. And these movies aren't erotic. They're pathetic. These vacuum-headed fuck bunnies don't turn me on. They disgust
Hell
me.
Yeah.
And
Hell
it's not
yes.
and it's not that I'm against pornography. No. I mean, I'm a guy, and guys need porn. Fact. Like
That's
a
right.
preacher needs pain, like a needle needs a vein. Good God.
No. That's not really in there. That part's not real, is it?
Yeah, it is.
No.
Guys need
Wait.
porn.
How was pain spelled? Is it like a pane of glass? Because he's talking about the stained glass in the church.
Ouch pain.
Why would a preacher need pain?
God beats me, man. Because guys need porn, as he follows the lineup with.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can't argue. You know what? When you circle back around and you hit that, I can't argue with it.
But I don't want to watch this misogynist he-man woman hater porn. I want porno movies that are made with guys like me in mind. Guys who know that the sexiest thing in the world is a woman who is smarter than you are. You can have the whole cheerleading squad. I want the girl in the tweed skirt and the horn-rimmed glasses. Betty Finnabowski, the valedictorian. I hope that's not a real person. Probably is. Oh, yes. First, I want her to... This is so awful. First, I want to copy her trig homework. And then I want to make mad, passionate love to her for hours and hours until she reluctantly asks if we can stop because she doesn't want to miss Battlestar Galactica. Summa cum laude, baby. That is what I call erotic. I think there's something about seeing it written out that's even funnier to me because like almost every line ends with a period. Like it's just so definitive. He's really thought this each word through. But do you ever see that kind of woman in a contemporary adult film? No. When did he write this? Yeah, you never see the horn-rimmed glasses and the fucking tweed schoolgirl outfit in pornos. Which is why I'm going to start writing and directing, proper noun here, geek porno. I shall be the quintessential nerd porn auteur. There's the title. And the women in my porno movies will be the kind that drive nerds like me mad with desire. I'm talking about the girls that used to fuck up the grading curve. The girls in the Latin Club and the National Honor Society. Chicks with weird clothes, braces, 4 eyes, and 4.0 GPAs. Brainy, articulate bookworms with Mensa cards in their purses and chips on their shoulders. My porn starlets will come in all shapes and sizes. My porn starlets will be too busy working on their PhD to go to the gym. In my kind of porno movies, the girls wouldn't even have to get naked. They'd just take the guys down to the rec room and beat them repeatedly at chess, and then talk to them for hours about Heisenberg's uncertainty principle or the underlying social metaphors in the Aliens movies. Buy stock in some hand cream companies because there's about to be a major shortage. And I'm not just talking about straight porn. Oh no. There should be fuck films for my nerd brethren of all sexual orientations. Gay nerd porn flicks with titles like Dungeons and Drag Queens.
Oh.
This idea is a fucking gold mine. I'm gonna make millions because this country is full of database programmers and electronics engineers, and they aren't getting the loving they so desperately need. And you can help. If you're an intelligent woman, this sentence is grammatically fucked. If you're an intelligent woman is interested in breaking into the adult film industry, and if you can tell me the name of Luke Skywalker's home planet, then you are hired. It doesn't matter if you think you're overweight or unattractive. It doesn't matter if you don't think you're beautiful. You are beautiful, and I will make you a star. First comment on this Reddit, which the Reddit, by the way, is just neckbeard things, whatever that is. First comment right below the first thing I just see is, this is full stop the most brain dead fucking retarded thing I've ever read. I'm a lesser person for having read this. Whoever wrote this needs to be euthanized. Yeah, sure.
Jesus Christ. That is...
That's who we're dealing with here, folks. That's kind of all you need to know about Ernie.
Yeah. I didn't mean to share the screen, but at least it'll have the sound. Real quick, that poem I get, you recalled it a poem at the beginning, I guess. I don't know, but it reminded me, basically, what he said that entire time was he was just basically saying this.
What happened with Vance? Oh, getting in that pussy hole. You could have the pussy, just save me the hole.
Yeah.
That was basically the vibe that he was giving off. But yeah. Yeah, that was incredible. It was incredible how long that went.
Yeah.
Halfway through, I was like, I can't believe this is still. This is not a poem anymore. This is just like a screed. It's incredible.
I mean, it is written as a poem, but yes.
Before you started that, I was going to say this, but I was like, fuck it, I'll say it after. I agree with you wholeheartedly that I hate the guy who wrote the books. I hate the guy that wrote the original screenplay. I hate the concept of it as a whole. But the movie itself was like, it's not hateable for me. It's like, I didn't like it. I'm not like, oh, this was great. But it was not bad enough to be upset at as a film. You know what I mean?
I hear you, because I mean, let's just say this is Steven Spielberg directed this, obviously like a competent to oftentimes like great master of the cinemar, as I call it.
Right. Spielberg is one of these guys, and these guys tend to be directors. They're like good at this. Like I think Marty. I think my good friend Marty is one of these guys too, where they're autistic for feelings. You know how most of the time people think of like autists as like not having feelings. It's like these guys are autistic so they come across like weird and shut off, but then they know how to like make a movie that like gets to emotions and shit really well. You know what I mean? And it's just like, how do you do that when you come across like a weird little guy who doesn't understand normal people, but then you're like really good at putting it into a movie,
Yeah, I mean, I'll say like it's competently directed. It doesn't. I mean, there are parts where I kind of hate the look of it. It's heavily CGI'd, obviously, like all the scenes where they're in the virtual reality world. But it's like, they spent a lot of fucking money on it, so it's not like it looks cheap or anything. It's just like, it's just so frenetic, and like the whole movie is just full of the most annoying, like, just pop culture mashup bullshit that is just, I don't know. It's just doesn't do anything for me except make me like roll my eyes, I guess. Just like a lot of like references for their own sake. It's just like,
sure.
You see that? Did you see that? That was a battle toad. Hey, there's a Ninja Turtle in the corner over there. Like to me, that's like kind of the whole movie. But I mean, there's a little more going on. I mean, the other thing to say is that this movie is like, it's just like a defense of capitalism under the guise of like, let's critique quote unquote capitalism stuff, consumerism, whatever. We don't need to define our terms. Bad money guys. But then ultimately the whole thing lands on like, we just need to have a slightly less bad money guy. And everything.
Well, to be fair, this is, it's from 2017, so it's like it was a few years before they invented like being against capitalism or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
At this point, people didn't know about dialectics and all that stuff yet, so they're like, "What's material?" But from what I heard, and also from what I heard, said from other people who actually like read it or whatever, like. The movie was actually much better about that, because like the book was just like directly like saying the references, because it has to, right? Because it's a book,
right.
So it just like says like, and it says it like Klein's writing is so fucking bad that like he would just like be super repetitive in like the same statement. You know what I mean? He'd be like, it gave me the feeling of, feeling like I was falling down, and the way that you could feel as someone who was falling down. It'd be like that. Like that was like the way that he was writing, so he was like,
Sure.
there's one quote that I remember like from something that I heard that was like, at the final battle scene, and they're like, they all have mechs, and they're like, she was in a mech that, but it looked like this, and it had a large breastplate and a boomerang on its head, and it looked like a female version of Zizor. And then I realized, oh, it is female Zizor from this random, episode from, one-off appearance in the early show. And it's like, it looked like a female version of Zizor because it was a female version of Zizor. Like, what the fuck? Like, that sucks ass. But, like, the movie doesn't have stuff that's, like, that bad. You know what I mean? Like, they just show it. They have, like, a bunch of Master Chiefs, and they're like, check it out. Like, it's Halo. I'm a pretty cool guy, I don't do, I forget how the meme goes. Anyways, But yeah, it's like, it's that. But they don't have a narrator who goes, and then a bunch of Halos showed up and they were shooting people with their guns. Because you just, like, see it. And, like, that's a little bit easier to stomach, I guess I'll say.
Sure, but we're comparing, like, I don't know, just it's different forms of poison. I don't.
Yeah, it's a turd sandwich and a giant douche, as our good friends from South Park would say.
Well, what the fuck is this
They
movie?
would love this fucking movie. Imagine the South Park guys watching this movie. They would rafflecopter all over themselves.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't, like, do something, like, maybe they did, I just don't know, but I'm surprised they didn't do some sort of the moment commentary on it. Because we should also say that when this came out, it was kind of being, it made, like, the podcast rounds. I, like, re-listened to 3 different podcasts that all talked about it back in 2018. There was, I don't know, just whatever kind of annoying online discourse going on about it. I guess a lot of it was about, like, nostalgia culture and how, like, and then, some people probably try to get more highfalutin with it and, like, what does this mean about society at this moment and all this shit. But the movie, we should, like, just. Here's the outline. I tasked DeepSeek with just giving me the briefest summary of the whole plot. I know in previous movie episodes we've, like, painstakingly gone through the movie, like, in order or whatever, but I don't see that happening with this one.
Yeah. That's not the point of this.
I did not take my patented, like, 8 pages of detailed notes on this at all. I took some notes, but not. Anyway. DeepSeek says, in Ready Player One, directed by Steven Spielberg, the story is set in dystopian 2045, where people escape reality by entering the Oasis, all caps. It does stand for something. I'll look it up on Wikipedia in a second. A vast virtual universe. When its creator, James Halliday, dies, he announces a contest. The first person to find 3 hidden keys and an Easter egg in the Oasis will inherit his fortune and control the virtual world. Wade Watts, the thing about this movie is everyone's got 2 names because they've got their online Oasis name. Wade Watts, Parzival in the Oasis, a young orphan, teams up with friends, including love interest Artemis, spelled with a 3 instead of an E, to solve the puzzles while battling the ruthless corporate IOI, led by Nolan Sorrento, which seeks to exploit the Oasis for profit. How dare they? The quest involves pop culture references, especially from the 1980s, and culminates in a final battle where Wade and his allies defeat IOI. Winning the contest, Wade gains control of the Oasis, but decides to shut it down 2 days a week to encourage people to engage with reality. That's maybe my favorite part of the whole fucking movie. Yeah. Is he's like narrating over the end where he's, like, making out with his girlfriend in his, like, nice loft apartment or whatever, and he's like... And then, and a lot of people don't like this, I decided to shut down the Oasis on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Because, people got to touch grass, y'all. Fade to black. Like, it's so fucking stupid.
This was an interesting thing, too, because I listened, and I'm sure you didn't listen to this one, but it was a podcast called 372 Pages We'll Never Get Back, which started out as a podcast about the book. It, like, literally the first season of the podcast was all about Ready Player One. They started it in 2017. So going back and listening to it was very funny because this is like 2017. It's hosted by two guys. One guy from Mystery Science Theater 3000, Michael Nelson, and another guy, Connor Lotska, who's from Riff Tracks. So they're both like Riff Tracks guys. And they read the book. And then later, when the movie came out, they did a live podcast reviewing the movie, but they didn't record it on accident. So then they re-recorded them just in a room talking about the movie. And it was interesting because they kind of mixed up things from the book because they actually like got deeply into the book and covered it. It was 8 episodes. It was like 9 to 10 hours of audio content about the book, right? And then they did the movie, which is like, just like 1 hour, it's real quick. They watched the movie like a couple times, obviously, because they watched it to, do the live show, and then they watched it to do the podcast, blah, blah, blah. But they kind of mixed that up because they talked about it and they were like, it's insane to think that they said part of the thing that they did was they turned off the Oasis for 2 days because in the book, the Oasis is like everything for some people because it's got like their full like commerce system and schools. In the book, they show that like Parsifal goes to school in the Oasis, which they do not show in the movie, but they were talking about the two things like they're the same, right? So they were like, he shut down schools. He basically said like, there's no school on Tuesday and Thursday anymore. Which is like not the case because that's not the movie. Reality didn't have that. It didn't show that like people did their entire lives in the Oasis, including like school and work and everything. But yeah, it was kind of funny. It was like, oh my God, that's very funny. It's also funny to think about it that way and to be like, they created like a worse version. Like the whole point of like unions inventing the work week, and like the 40-hour work week and the weekend. It's like unions did that and they negotiated and they came up with an idea and they made something that made sense for everyone. And Parsifal and his friends got control of the Oasis. And if you think of the Oasis as basically everything, it's the entire economy happens inside of Oasis in this world. Some fucking teenage jagoffs who are just horny were like, instead of having the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, you've got Tuesday and Thursday. That's your days off. Imagine how that's like, it's so fucked up. It's like, okay, so I go to work like, Sunday through Monday, and then I have to go back on Wednesday, or I guess it would be, I go to work like Friday through Monday, and then I'm off one day, and then I have to go back on Wednesday, and then I'm off another day. Like, this kind of sucks. Having 2 days off in a row is kind of nice, It's like, at least I got a nice break. 2 random days that are split by 1 day in the middle. This is like, people would never pick that if you like let people decide together collectively. But because this movie or the book and the movie together as a hybrid create like this weird like fucking totalitarian dictatorship where you just see like, this fucking sucks where like some random jack-off teenagers get to decide everyone's life. This is a bad idea. This was a really bad idea. Who decided that this should happen?
Well, Willy Wonka, I mean, James Halliday, of course. Yeah. That was the other thing. I watched the trailer of the movie and they used like the fucking classic like children's choir or whatever it was. Like, I don't know, some like breathy female vocalist doing the slowed down dramatic version of what's the song from fucking Willy Wonka called Pure Imagination.
Yeah.
Take a look. Yeah, you can fill in the rest.
Oh shit, sorry. One thing I forgot to mention there when I was talking about 372 pages I'll never get back. That podcast still goes on to this day. They started it in 2017 talking about Ready Player One, the book. And they are still doing the podcast about different books now in 2025.
They hit their stride.
Like, they've been going like almost 10 years now. And yes, there was another book by Ernest Cline that was called Armada. And I think they made that into a movie as well.
Oh, really? I did read that he did write a sequel that like bombed. I guess people don't really say that about books, but whatever. It failed bad. Although Oh, actually, it says here it debuted #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. But I think like critically, it just got like destroyed as like a piece of shit. It was, I don't know. I barely glanced at. Oh man, are they going to turn that into a movie too? I don't know.
Probably.
Whatever. Oh fuck! March 2024. Spielberg confirmed Ready Player 2 is in development. Great.
Yes. Yeah, and it looks like the Armada movie was optioned, and they wrote a script into 2028, but there's no update here that says they've done anything since. So I think probably they scrapped that, and instead, especially now, because it's been so long, you're better off doing a sequel than you are like trying to like boot a second franchise off of the same writer. You know what I mean? Like if they had done the movie in 2018, it would make sense, you know? Oh, it's a trilogy of films. It's like the Hunger Games or something. But, based on different books. But this is like, fuck it. This is like, bring them backs. Anyway, I do have a quick note, because fuck it, now we're at this point. I brought up that, that movie, the 372 pages, We'll Never Get Back, the MSK Riff Tracks guys. One of the funny things that I found out listening to that, not related to the movie or anything, one of the guys on that, who is like the guy who was from, Mystery Science Theater 3000, they were like doing a like, oh, let's like get to know each other bit early on, and like, oh, let me ask you questions about things that you like. One of the things that the guy, now mind you, this is the guy from Mystery Science Theater 3000, he said he has the other guy was saying like it's an irrational fear. He was saying it's a normal and acceptable, very rational fear, and almost like an animosity and like rivalry, not rivalry, I don't even know what word to use to describe it, with crows.
Okay.
Which I found very funny, because one of the characters on Mystery Science Theater is a robot that's named Crow.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And he's like, I've got mad beef with crows in real life. I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. But yeah, anyways. Continuing on.
The Oasis, the acronym Oasis stands for Ontologically Anthropocentric Sensory Immersive Simulation.
I know, I saw it. I hate it. I really don't like looking at it.
Created by James Halliday and Ogden Morrow, these Star Wars ass names, of Gregarious Games. I hate like kind of everything about this story. Yeah. It's really... Also, I think if they're going to option anything, it should be that fucking slam poetry we went through.
Yeah, about pussies, about different kinds of pussies and how they're all good.
That movie.
Yeah. I want to see the Ethan Klein vagina monologues made into a movie. That's what I want to see.
Ethan Klein vagina monologues. That's good. I mean, I don't know. How much of the plot do we really need to get to?
None. I don't care.
We did the overview. I do. So just think of like some of the details that popped out to be as stupid, notable, funny, whatever. The fact that they call these people that are looking for this fucking Easter egg Gunters is pretty good.
That's not good.
Gunters.
There was a... Playing into that a little bit, there was a bit that I found, I was like, what the fuck? Like, in the moment, I was like, what the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. Because they said, the IOI guys, they have like 6-letter, or 6-number ID tags on them instead of their names or whatever.
Right.
And, so they call them Sixers, right? Oh, fucking Sixers. But they were like implying like normal people call IOI people Sixers. But at one point when, Artemis is in the base of IOI, she gets killed, and then a guy who's like a, I don't even know what you would call him, like a facilitator, grabs her and goes, "Get it together, Sixer." And it's like, you wouldn't, that's like, you know what I mean? Like, that's them. People call them that on the outside. They don't call themselves that. I guess
it's
I'm
the
implying
opposite
basically
of we
that,
can use that word. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, no, it's the early stages of that guy was like on the vanguard of the IOI employees.
Oh, right,
like,
right.
We're taking it back.
Sure.
You know what? We're going to call ourselves Sixers. So, in a lot of ways, Sixers are the N-word of the world, is what people are saying. Or of the Oasis, I guess.
John Gunter Lennon said that once, I heard. And Gunter is apparently egg and hunter put together. But
doesn't
it's
make any sense.
I guess he didn't know. I think I heard the word gunt. Remember really specifically the first time I heard the word gunt. I think it was like an SNL sketch from probably 20 years ago or something now, but
No.
it was like
I
a
was
fake band
definitely-
name in the sketch. Gunt.
I was definitely firmly referring to the term gunt by like 2017 for sure. I was saying gunt a lot. Like earlier than that, if I'm being honest, I think like 2011, I was probably talking about gunt a lot. You
Which
know,
was
like
the year this book came out was 2011, by the way. Yeah.
was it? Oh, I thought for some reason I thought the book came out in like 2017.
No. The movie was officially released in 2018. Book was 2011. Published in 2011. He might have started writing it earlier. I don't know.
Okay, so a couple weird detail things that are like differences between the film and the novel. It's like character stuff that was kind of interesting, which is that like in the book, I-Rock like hangs out with them at a certain point. And like early on before anything even starts, it's like I-Rock is just like a guy who gets into a chat room with them and hangs out and, you know, chops it up and makes fun of them, which is like very weird and interesting. If they had done that with, oh God, what the fuck? TJ Miller. Like, I think that would have actually that would have been funner and would have made the movie better if there had been a scene early on where like you had the TJ Miller character chopping it up and like busting balls with the high five guys. You know what I mean? Like that would have actually been kind of interesting.
Maybe. I don't know. I think I hated this movie a lot more than you did.
Sure. But I'm just saying like that would have added like a little bit of like comedy depth to it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, TJ Miller's character was just doing a lot of cleverisms. I don't know.
Right.
It did nothing for me. Pretty much this movie did nothing for me other than like my jaw sort of dropped during this whole Shining sequence where they go into the movie The Shining, which is awful. That was another thing that was a difference between the movie and the book that's like really weird is that like Ogden Morrow was like more of a character in the book and like he also hung out with them early on. And then like in the movie he's like, you know, he's the curator, and then later on he admits that he's someone else, you know, like that he's himself or whatever. But in the book he's just like a guy that they meet and hang out with and stuff. It's just like that was an odd change from the script to the movie, but I don't know. But like they, you know, it changed a lot. The challenges are like a ton different, I guess, between the movie and the book. You know, and clearly I'm sure that there's like people who were upset about this stuff, you know, at the time. They're like, oh, it should have been more like the book or whatever. The biggest thing that got me though is like watching the movie versus reading the book, I guess, is that like knowing that H is H, like AECH is the name, but they just say H. Yeah, you know, it's like, a lot of. Oh, that's weird. That's a weird one. That's a weird one to find out, you know, later on. Like, what the fuck? Okay, cool. I was using subtitles, so I noticed it, but yeah.
Oh, so you saw it yeah. That's smart. You're always one step ahead. And the final biggest weird difference between the book and the movie to me was that in the book, he shaves his entire body. He's completely hairless in the book because it supposedly helps
the protagonist
with the suit or something. Okay. Yeah, the main guy, Percival, Wade, he shaves his whole body hairless in the book, and they don't reference that at all in the movie, which is, I mean, it's very Matrix, which I can understand why they're kind of, I guess we don't need to, you know, do that. It seems dumb, seems weird and dumb, but it's also like when you know about like, you know, the fucking the pussy hunter Klein over here and his fucking slam poetry. Like, I can understand why he wrote that into the book. He's like, yes, I want the young teen boy. I want his body fully nude. And they're like, yeah, he's naked or whatever. He's like, no, I want him shaven, nude, bare, full flesh, nubile and untanted by hair. Yeah.
I also felt like there was some perverted possibilities going on at the end of the movie where we see Halliday in his childhood bedroom with his childhood self, that they like go off hand in hand into the darkness or whatever.
That wasn't cool.
Some weird, like, I'm gonna molest myself energy, if you ask me.
Right.
But I don't know. But one of the other things.
Here's this button that will end everything. Here's this button that will ruin everything and completely destroy the planet. Don't touch it. I'm gonna go off into this closet with a young child version of myself. See you later.
So stupid. But the thing that connects to his awful slam poetry thing a little bit as well is so Artemis is played by Olivia Cook, an actress that I actually kind of like, and she's probably one of the better performances in this dumbass movie. But the whole thing with her character is like she's so ashamed to be like have her real non-avatar self be seen, and then it's revealed that she has a very faded light birthmark around her like eye.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm hideous, don't look. She's like this like beautiful actress, and it's so Ernie Klein to be like, no, like I like little quirks. I like the little imperfections, baby.
Well, okay, but this is another one that's interesting.
This is what a feminist looks like type shit. Yeah.
This is another bit that's kind of interesting comparing the movie to the book, because in the book, he describes her as Rubenesque and short. You know, she's all curves, which like, you know, you say, oh, she's all curves. Who could like that? But it's also like when you say Rubenesque and short, all curves, like that means like round. She's all round. You know what I mean? Like there's no... So Ernie, Mr. Feminist Ernie, the way that he described her as his dream girl, she was like a little Oompa Loompa roly-poly blueberry girl. That's what he wanted. And then it was very funny because, like, I guess in the book it's like, yeah, she looked the same. She still had the birthmark, but she was the same in real life. She was built like a fucking blueberry. And he was like, I'm going to get me a piece. He said, bring me a bag of flour because I'm about to get down. And like, but she has a birthmark, and again, it was the same thing. It's like, oh no, I'm terrible and ugly. I'm the Phantom of the Opera because I have a little splotch on my face. And he was like, I can look past that, baby. Let me get a piece of that. You know, let me get a slice of that blueberry pie. That's what he said to her. And personally, I think it's disgusting. But yeah, that was continuing on.
Another detail, Spielberg apparently really like into the Willy Wonka-ness, which is like very obvious. There's like this stupid contest to win the factory, whatever. Very original writing from Mr. Klein. But Spielberg wanted Gene Wilder, who was like on death's door at the time, to play Halliday, and it didn't pan out, thankfully. The guy who does play Halliday, I also really like as an actor. Now I'm blanking on his name. Mark Rylance. He's kind of like a, I don't know, proper British like actor of the theater or whatever. But I've seen him in a few things. He's actually a really kind of similar kind of character in the movie Don't Look Up. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought that movie was fine. I don't know what seemed to be like a abnormal amount of like backlash against that movie for some reason. I thought it was perfectly good. And way better than Ready Player One, that's for sure.
Was that's the
Adam McKay and The World is Ending and no one's reacting to it properly, whatever. Right. He plays basically an eccentric sort of like Steve Jobs coded like CEO, but he's like, is that the character is actually really funny and Don't Look Up, I thought, and the acting is really good. He's also in that awesome movie I've recommended in the past, Bones and All, the cannibal romantic drama cannibal movie. He plays a cannibal guy, a really creepy one.
I'm sure when he got cast for Don't Look Up, and he was playing like a Steve Jobs-esque character. Everyone, including himself, was like, oh, this is fun because now it's like you've played, Wozniak and Jobs in different movies. And they were referencing Ready Player One. They were like, we all remember you playing like a Steve Wozniak style character in Ready Player One. And now it's like you're playing Steve Jobs in a different movie. The cultural touchstone that everyone thinks about, Ready Player One.
But people had yet to start comparing Halliday to
Elon Musk is American hero. Long live the new Flash.
Yes.
Eloo Ma.
So let's talk about the new Flesh, because this is the crux of the thing for me. When it comes to synthesizing this film, and I don't know, there's probably other stuff, whatever you might want to talk about with this movie. I don't really care. I feel like we've been going for a while. We can close it out with some final thoughts. And this is my final big thought, my big takeaway on the entire thing. When it comes to why I say the Halliday character is what Elon Musk wants to be, I don't think it has anything to do with the Nolan Sorrento CEO character, because just watching this and the movie and then the book and wondering again, now questioning, did he even fucking read the book? Who knows? Maybe at some point someone read it to him, whatever. And it circles back into the current climate of Elon Musk stories, like the Elon Musk rage quits live stream after being cyberbullied by gamers. Elon Musk
that
pretending
was so
to
good.
be good again. And people, this is why watching this now was fucking perfect. And it sucks because I wish that it would get into the cultural zeitgeist and more people would hear about this. Hopefully people listen to this, but whatever. This is unlocking the key. This is, this is the jade key, the crystal key of the whole thing. Why? Because everyone sees these fucking stories about Musk and they go, why does he fucking care? He's the richest man on the planet. Why is he paying people to level up his characters? Why is he lying about being a professional level gamer? And when you think about it and you watch this film, you read the book, see that this is why. This is it. This is the reason. He really is into the fucking story of this, this movie, this book. So much so that he makes his kids read the book when they're in trouble. It's a fucking cultural touchstone. It's a corner piece. It's a corner brick of the foundation of Elon Musk's fucking psyche at this point. Is that this book is all about how it's not just like, oh, you're going to win a contest and get, become rich and famous from being good at video games and knowing about 80s pop culture, knowing about memes, basically, right? It's not just that, because that is the story, but it is like legitimately, because it's so fucking hollow. There's nothing else to it. Even the Artemis character calls it out. You don't know me. You don't love me. You don't know me. You don't know what I look like. You've only seen me on here. And all of that gets overcome because knowing about memes, knowing about 80s pop culture, being good at video games is morally virtuous. That is the crux of this film. It makes you a good person who deserves to win and be the leader of things and make decisions like everyone has Tuesday and Thursday off. To be the boss of the world means you are the kind of person who's good at video games, who knows about memes. Right. That is the story of this film. And that is what Elon Musk at his core truly believes. That is why he pays people to use his avatar and make people believe that he's good at video games when he's not. And it's why everyone looks at it and they go, it's so fucking stupid that he cares that people think he's good at video. He's the richest man on the planet. Why does he think it matters that anyone thinks he's good at video games? It would be okay to just be a guy who likes video games and plays them, but he's not great at it. And this movie is the reason why. This movie tells the story of a kid who overcomes everything, finds true love, even though he doesn't know this girl, because he knows about memes and is good at video games. Tell me that that's not fucking it. Tell me that that's not at the core of this man's psyche. That it's morally positive. You can be a Nazi. You can kill people. You can fucking sabotage the greater good. You can do all of these terrible things. And they show it throughout the movie. He cheats. They fucking steal. They lie. They use deception constantly. All of this stuff. But at the end of the day, you're a good person because you know about the good memes. Because you're good at video games. That is what the story tells. That is what Elon Musk believes.
Yeah, and like, you know, like the currency and like and power within the world is, like you said, it's pop culture knowledge of the totally cool, awesome 80s, which is, I guess, also the time that if Elon Musk does have humanoid type feelings of nostalgia, they would be most firmly in the 80s, right? That's like the age he is. He's like in his 50s now.
Right.
So it all does line up. I agree. I honestly kind of like lost the thread on like comparing Eloo Ma to that character Halliday, and I kind of went off into more of this direction of just thinking about nostalgia itself, like its pros and cons, and I even like got a little bit into like some serious type literature on nostalgia, like actual academic style papers and stuff. But I mean, the summary is basically like there's pros and cons to nostalgia. Like pros, like on an individual level, like it can create like I mean, there's some studies that seem to correlate like just overall emotional well-being and like a sense of self-continuity with reminiscing and whatever nostalgia. But then obviously, like, because like I think there's a popular and accurate idea as well that like nostalgia is the mind killer or whatever, but I think that's a little bit overblown too in a way. But this movie like made me feel gross in a way of like it's just this terminal nostalgia where you're just trapped in. I guess it's not just the mind of Halliday, but like that's where it starts. But then like it's all these other people, like, because the thing in the movie is like they're studying this guy and they have like whole like branches of academic thought to like understanding him, because that's how you're gonna win the game, is to like know everything this guy liked, which is maybe another thing that appeals to Elon Musk about this is like, oh, everyone would have to like basically worship at the altar of me, like in this, if I insert myself into the character of Halliday here, whatever. That was one of the
study all of the stupid little minutia of my life, which is like it's never worked like that. How many thousands, you don't want to go like, I don't want to go into millions, but hundreds of thousands, whatever, historical entities, people who were important throughout the history of humans, right? And it's like, think about the way that you remember them. You remember them for like singular thoughts, singular moments of greatness, right? Where they did something or said something or, whatever, refused to do something, all this and that. And that's the thing that shines out like a beacon in the night as like this is the star of the moral center that you direct your universe towards. Try to be like that. Right? And then over the years, here's the true story about, Gandhi touching on his, underage cousin or whatever. Here's the true story about, MLK, being like a philanderer. You get what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, over the years, they start to go like, oh, actually, this guy, he wasn't perfect, right? It's all guys, right? Whatever. But this movie posits this concept that's completely foreign in reality, but is why, like, Musk likes it, is the idea that, well, people, instead of, like, you standing out for the singular great things that you did, people will just be obsessed over every little detail of your life, even though there's nothing really to it. And that's like the story of Musk. Like, he wants people to love him and think that he's great, and and kind of just be like, oh, he's just like a normal guy who didn't really do anything special, but we think he's great. You know, and that's like, that also speaks to this thing. It's like you get it completely backwards. This is never how it works, and it will not work for you. There is like no great man who's like just an amalgamation of nothing moments that people are like, yeah, that guy's cool. You know, like everything is like, the great man is like, he did one good thing, and then everyone is like, yeah, but actually he was a piece of shit. But people don't care, and they don't pay attention to that, and they're like, no, he was great because he did this one thing. You know, and that, like, again, that speaks really to the core of Musk, because it's like, he didn't do anything. He doesn't have any great moment. He wants people to worship him on the backs of a bunch of little nothing, because he doesn't have any one thing that he actually did.
I mean, and it was like kind of gearing up to look like it was, he could pull off like, you know, when he was like the liberal darling or whatever, because electric car, it's computer now. But yeah, obviously it's not panned out that way, and he's a huge pariah, and hopefully the lynch mob will will overcome. It also looks, you know, who knows, whatever, can't predict anything, etc. But it seems like possibly the big breakup is coming, the Trump-Musk breakup, but who knows? It looks more like that than it has since they hooked up initially. It seems like, you know, I've got various articles and whatever, but we got to wrap it up here pretty soon. Trying to think of any final thoughts I might have. I mean, I had like a whole long thing about nostalgia, but I don't know. It's kind of like whatever. Nostalgia is, like I said at the up top, it's a sometimes food like heroin. Just take it easy.
Yeah, when you need it. I was thinking about this related to that really quickly. I was trying to come up with like a version of this. I was like, maybe I could make this into a tweet, but it doesn't really work as a tweet. It's more of like a stand-up joke, and I don't really do stand-up anymore, so I'll make it work. But it was like the idea where it was like, the American spirit can overcome anything. You know, we've shown it over the years. It was like, you know, World War I, World War II. We overcame segregation. You know, we're strong. You know, slavery, like the whole country was built on slavery, and then now, like, you know, we had a black president or whatever. I mean, half, it's okay. You know, but we showed that we can do anything, right? You know, and the terrible, devious, nasty Chinese, they tried to take us down, and they sent over fentanyl because they knew that we were in a tough time as Americans, and people were addicted to opioids. And, you know, we were hooked on pills, and people were dying in droves, And what did China do? They tried to take advantage of that by sending fentanyl, which is an opioid that's 10 times as powerful. It's killing people off, hundreds of ODs. You know, it's too powerful. It's too addictive, you know. And yes, a lot of people died, but the American spirit overcame. And you know what we did? Eventually, we now have gotten to the point where Americans are addicted to fentanyl. We have overcome the poison that China sent to us, and now we continue to do it, and we like it so much that now people would rather get fentanyl instead of heroin. And that shows the indelible spirit of the American. The fact that China cannot stop us. No matter what they do, we'll find a way to get addicted to whatever poison they try to sell to us.
We shall overcome, indeed. Or that's as right. Obama once said,
"Gotta have them ribs and pussy too."
All right, that seems like a good way to wind it up, wrap it down, whatever.
Basically, you know, we can overcome nostalgia. Is the point.
Yeah. Moral of the story. I'm going to recommend something that came up in my mind because of watching this movie, which is like this insane hodgepodge. It's kind of like the crossover episodes of, like, you know, Flintstones and Jetsons or Simpsons and Critic and all that stuff. But on steroids, as they say, on acid and steroids together.
That sounds like me in the gym.
There's a part in this long, interesting essay by David Foster Wallace called E Unibus Plurum, Television and U.S. Fiction. It's a bit like scholarly, whatever. But it talks a lot about it's written in the early 90s. So a lot of it is about the limits of using irony and how fiction writers at the time were basically absorbing the logic of TV and commercials. And one of the examples he uses about a particular book is this guy who I don't have the quote in front of me, but this guy Mark Lehner wrote a book that just has a lot of stuff that's you know what it basically comes down to? It's like in Cable Guy, the classic 1995 film where the cable guy himself,
Murder Brian, the cable guy.
Oh, okay.
Murder Brian, he's the cable guy.
Right. Well, as Murder Brian, James Carrey once said, "You'll be able to visit the Louvre on one channel or watch female wrestling on another. You can do your shopping at home or play Mortal Kombat with a friend in Vietnam." That kind of thing, just a mashup of everything together, pop culturally. Anyway, it's what made me think of this great essay, and I found a PDF of it, which I'll put in the show notes if anyone else wants to read it. And it's very good, and some of it reminded me of the limits of nostalgia culture and all that shit. So that's it.
All right. Shit. Fuck. I don't have a general recommendation. I guess just, take Tuesdays and Thursdays off from whatever you're doing and go out there and touch grass, folks.
Sounds good. Touch grass is always a good one. All right. Go to the episode description. Check out them show notes. They're plentiful as I guess usual. But more importantly, join the Discord, join the podcast's Discord server, and stop in and say some stuff. Also, check out Tim's other podcast, which is
coming back shortly. We should record an episode this weekend for the first time in about a month, I guess. And that podcast is, it doesn't have a name, technically. Legally speaking, if anyone asks you, what's the name of that podcast? If anyone's ever going, that guy Tim from Heat Death of the Universe, what's the name of his other podcast? Legally, you have to say, if you're a cop, you have to say this. You have to say that podcast doesn't have a name. That's officially, it does not. Podcasts don't have to have a name. It's a whole thing. Tim is an anarcho. One time, someone described me as an anarcho-primitivist because of it. In some ways, yes, not exactly, but I get it. That the person who said that was an anarchist who likes to use the surname Waco for his projects. So imagine how that guy's politics works. So him calling me an anarcho-primitivist was a compliment, if you understand what I mean. But that podcast, if you have to say, you have to look for it.
If you're pressed.
QNTR. If you're just looking for it online, you're just between you and the internet, it's QNTR. And it's on the Violent People podcast network. There's going to be some interesting stuff coming to the Violent People podcast network relatively soon. Not just the writing, which is always good on the website, violentpeople.co. But the podcasts are going to get going again with the lab. I've got a plan to do something stupid again, like I did last summer. I'm going to I have a couple ideas of doing stupid things, so be prepared for that if you want to hear me talking about wrestling, which, why would you not? Obviously, I'm the author of the Elon Musk, is the guy from Ready Player One take, that I stole from his daughter, who's better than me at everything, but, I got that little bit, and so, anyways, check that out. Otherwise, I don't know, that's it, that's all I got.
That's all, folks. And as David Foster Wallace is alleged to have jotted down in some notes once, we're all just trying to build some structure around the fear that we're alone and it doesn't mean anything. Good night, good luck, good morning, Vietnam.
Singing his song.
The first voice recording was made in 1860. It was a 10-second fragment of the French folk song Au clair de la lune recorded by inventor Edward Leon Scott de Martinville. But who will make the final voice recording and when? What will it be? Who will hear it?